Hi, my name is Jacie. In April of 2022, I was diagnosed with CIRS, also known as chronic inflammatory response syndrome, biotoxin illness, or mold illness. I am not a provider. This is just what I have learned along the way. I've done a ton of research and I've even read the actual textbook. Very briefly, CIRS happens when someone who is genetically predisposed to being really bad at eliminating a biotoxin encounters biotoxin. I am a skeptical person by nature, and so when I first started looking into CIRS, I had CIRS brain, which means I had brain fog and it was hard to learn new things. Felt so overwhelmed by the amount of information, and all of the information out there seems to be very provider focused, not patient focused. So especially for CIRS people, it feels impossible to understand what this thing is. For me, I had been suffering with chronic pain for some time, and so it took a lot of convincing for me to believe that CIRS could be an answer to the catastrophic health issues that I had been experiencing. To me, most diagnoses are just diagnoses, one of the two. It's just renaming symptoms. So when people are diagnosed with fibromyalgia, it's like inflammation of the muscle fibers. You're just renaming what that person is already experiencing, and it doesn't really help them to overcome that health issue. For me, I was told I had uveitis, which is inflammation of the inner eye. And I was like, what is this caused by? And my doctors were like, it's idiopathic. And I feel like doctors just say it's idiopathic, and patients are supposed to be like, oh, okay, it's idiopathic. No, like, why? What is this? Why does it happen? I don't want this to happen. Can we figure out why this is happening so that it doesn't happen to me? I'm sorry, I get a little angry when it comes to doctors and the whole like patronizing patients to be like, oh, just be fine with my answers and don't ask any more questions. Like, no, that's what you're here for. You're a doctor. I'm looking for medical answers. If I wanted to know that this is just a magical thing that happens to me, I would have gone to a wizard. The thing that really reassured me about the CIRS protocol, specifically the Shoemaker protocol, is all of the clinical research behind it. There are very specific diagnostic parameters, specific medications that you take, and specific parameters to take you off of those medications. This is truly root cause healing. It's not symptom management. So when I think of symptom management, it's like I would have to do that thing forever in order to control the symptoms. A good example would be people who do biologics for autoimmune issues. You have to always take those biologics to control your autoimmune issue. With CIRS and the Shoemaker protocol, it's not like that. You do the Shoemaker protocol, you're good to go. If you're re-exposed, you do the protocol again very briefly, like just a couple of weeks, and you're good to go. It truly is root cause healing.
Hey, it's Editing Jacie here. I wanted to clarify, I don't feel like I said this as clearly as I could have. So with CIRS, you can think of your genes as the loaded gun and the biotoxins as the trigger. The CIRS protocol addresses the trigger, meaning it will help you eliminate the biotoxins and correct the downstream impact. But you're still left with your genes. You still have that loaded gun. And so maintaining after doing the CIRS protocol is just any time you are re-exposed to that biotoxin, eliminating the trigger again. And that's what the binders are for. It's not symptom management in the same way because it's not a forever thing. You don't have to continuously take the binders forevermore. It's just if you encounter that trigger again. I hope that clarifies things.
So really when I'm talking about is CIRS real, I think I'm talking about can you trust this process might be the answer for you and your health issues. For me, the three things that really reassured me was the diagnostic parameters, the defined treatment protocol, and the positive response to treatment. So the diagnostic parameters include 8 of the 13 symptom clusters. So there's 37 specific symptoms associated with CIRS. They are arranged into 13 different symptom clusters. If you have a symptom in a cluster, it counts towards your total symptom cluster count. If you have 8 of the 13 symptom clusters, it's recommended that you do CIRS blood work. There's also a vision test you can do. It's called the VCS, or Visual Contrast Sensitivity Test. With biotoxins, they directly impact your nerve function. And with CIRS, the inflammation can cause white blood cells to clog up the tiny capillaries in the back of your eye, meaning it makes it really difficult to see blurred lines. If you fail the VCS test, you should do the CIRS blood work. The CIRS blood work really has 2 different sections to it. The first section is identifying the biotoxins that you might be sensitive to, It actually looks at your genetic haplotypes and identifies which biotoxins might be the biotoxin causing your SIRS. The second half of the blood work is really looking at the downstream impact of SIRS, and it really looks for innate inflammatory immune response as the downstream impact of SIRS. Next is the defined treatment protocol. There are 12 steps to the Shoemaker protocol. 3 steps are absolutely necessary. 1, removing yourself from the exposure. 2, taking the binders that will help you eliminate the biotoxin. And 3, taking the vasoactive intestinal peptide spray, and this will help to re-regulate your immune system. The middle 9 steps are only used if your blood work and symptoms indicate that you need them. And each step of the protocol either targets the biotoxin itself or the downstream impact of the chronic inflammation. Finally, patients should experience a positive response to the treatment. This can be identified objectively through passing the VCS test or through improved blood work. Personally, in my own journey, I did a couple months of the binder, and that alone actually improved a lot of the downstream blood markers that had popped up as out of range when I initially was diagnosed with SIRS. This can also be subjectively measured by the patient saying, "I feel better." My SIRS provider has me go through a checklist of different symptoms every time I see him, and each time I rate them on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the most severe, 1 being I don't experience the symptom at all. And it's been so amazing to see those numbers go down over time. Personally, I couldn't walk without a cane at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and I was in such severe chronic pain through the spring of 2021 that I was so hopeless. I thought that was it. That was going to be the level that I could live my life at, was just a 7 pain level for the rest of my existence. Today, I am 6 months into the treatment protocol. I'm about to take the last step, and I am just so much better. I don't think words can explain this. I think if anyone's been dealing with chronic pain or chronic illness for long enough, you know that feeling of just being like, this is my life, I might as well accept it. And I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad I kept digging a little bit further to find out about SIRS and the treatment protocol. More than anything, hearing other people talk about their experience with the Shoemaker protocol and how life-changing it was for them convinced me that SIRS treatment could be the right path for me. And it really has turned out to be a hope for healing that I never thought I could have.
Hey, it's editing Jacie here. I thought it would be helpful to summarize the points that I made in this video. The 3 things that really convinced me that SIRS is a real thing that I could heal from were the fact that there was an objective diagnostic criteria, a defined treatment protocol, and positive response to treatment. The diagnostic criteria include having a certain number of the symptoms, failing the VCS test, having the genetic markers that help show which biotoxin you might be sensitive to, and having a certain number of the SIRS innate inflammatory blood markers out of range. For the defined treatment protocol, it was really reassuring to me to see all of the clinical trials and research behind the protocol. Additionally, SIRS providers are certified in the protocol, in the Shoemaker protocol, and you can find a list of those providers at survivingmold.com. And finally, each step targets the biotoxin itself or the specific downstream effects. There are specific medications and treatments used each step along the way. Finally, positive response to treatment. This is proven both in objective markers such as improved blood markers or being able to pass the VCS test, but this is also proved subjectively through patients saying they feel better and rating their symptoms as less detrimental to their health over time.
When I was diagnosed, it was at the same time as my best friend, and I was so grateful to have her. Like, I feel bad because I'm just like, oh, thank goodness she also has SIRS. But it really was just such a great experience because we could lean on each other for support. And we wanted that for other people, so we created the CIRSgroup.com. So if you're looking for additional resources or support in your own SIRS healing journey, you can join us over there at the CIRSgroup.com. If you or someone you love is dealing with chronic illness or SIRS or just going through a healing journey, I just wish you so much love, healing, and peace through this entire experience. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you all on the next one. Okay, bye.